I'm going to try not to be long regarding this topic. But before I get started, don't forget to click on the Cash App link that's in the description box or the PayPal link that's in the description box and financially support this channel. If you choose to donate, feel free to do so. But I had the opportunity to listen to a few people's opinion and comment regarding the policy bill that the governor recently signed in California. It's the AB 392 bill that limits police shootings. I'm going to repeat that. It's a bill that was passed by Governor Gavin Newsom. The AB 392 that limits police shooting. Now, there's quite a few people, even police officers and former cops, that seem to believe that by him signing this bill, it's putting the lives of many officers at risk. I beg the difference. With lethal force, that should be the last resort. Using your firearm to take a life should be the last resort. Now, these words that they use in the legal field, reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt has gotten a lot of murderers, a lot of murderer cops off the hook. Now, it's easy to talk about how cops can shoot unarmed citizens and they're able to walk. But when you're in a courtroom, you're on a jury, and they use certain buzzwords beyond the reasonable doubt. If it's reasonably necessary. Now, most people will look at certain cases and find it reasonable because if I'm in a certain situation and I'm not really sure if this person's got a firearm and this person appears to be reaching, or if I'm restraining someone and they're constantly moving because I'm inflicting pain in their joints by twisting their arm back, and I'm shouting, "Stop resisting," and then I draw a firearm and put a round in this dude or a few rounds in this dude and say I felt that he was going for my firearm. Now, most people will look at that and say that was reasonable because he had no idea what this person had or the next step. It's almost like a pre-crime, a crime that had not been committed, but yet you're judged for committing a crime that you have not yet done. See, we as civilians, especially in New York State that don't have the castle law, we're told that if there's a way of escape, we're supposed to retreat. See, we're given a law that says we have to retreat. Somebody break into my house, and me being the man of the house, I now have to retreat. I have to run from my house and allow the criminal to burglarize my home. But if I happen to be trapped in the stairway, or if I have family members that's upstairs or trapped in the stairway, then and only then can I use deadly force. If I'm in a position that I can't get out, then it becomes a necessity. That's necessary force. I'm in a position now where I can't go nowhere. I'm trapped. So now it would be considered necessary force to defend myself. So because we have, as civilians, have to retreat, why does the cops get a pass to take out a life and able to walk? So when you look at reasonable force and necessary force, it causes two different results and actions. See, reasonable force gives you that extra leverage where you can say, I feared for my life. And then you find out later that the person had a cell phone, or the person was reaching for their keys. Just as a reaction, just went to get your cell phone. And then you get gunned down by police. And because it's reasonable force, he gets to walk. But when it comes to necessary force, was it absolutely necessary for you to draw your firearm? Why couldn't you use a taser, pepper spray, a nightstick? See, police have other ways of defending themselves than using deadly force. The image that you see here had become the normal image for today's police officer. In 2019, this image had become the norm, where cops had become trigger happy. This guy became the Terminator. You see, he's got the Terminator glasses on. He drew his firearm. And you even have cops that even practice being cool when they're drawing their firearm. This has become the norm. See, cops today don't take that extra moment to stop and think. They react and then ask questions later. But then they go into the legal system and say, I have a dangerous job. I feared for my life. I did what I needed to do to protect myself. I thought this person had a firearm. Now, if one of us civilians do that, if someone breaks in our house and we don't know what the criminal's got in his pocket, he could look barehanded, but if we shoot him in our house, although he broke in, we have to retreat because there's no castle law. Now, they have castle laws in the southern states, in different states, but in New York State, there's no castle law. And they're working harder now to disarm legal citizens, making it harder for legal citizens to defend themselves and their families. All of these bogus background checks and bans and restrictions. And then when we're put in a situation where we have to defend ourselves, now we're looked at as the criminal. But law enforcement could murder someone. And I mentioned in prior videos how you have white supremacist cops that's joining the police force just to be able to play commando. Just to be able to become Terminators. And you have some police force that would even promote officers that shoot, when they disarm or discharge their firearm, they actually get a raise in some places. They get a promotion in some places. So that encourages them to take lives, to discharge their firearm, because now the video games that they grew up playing as children, they now could become those video games, become the villain or become the shooter in those video games. Hence why we have situations like this dude in the photo. They have no problem drawing their firearm upon unarmed civilians. And I've told stories in the past of on 9/11 when I walked into Walmart to pick up some film and had about 7 or 8 cops with their guns drawn on me because a Walmart employee called and said there was a black man that had photos of the World Trade Center. So I could have lost my life because someone called in and said I had photos. I committed no crime. I'm a photographer. But when I walked in unsuspecting, at that moment I could have lost my life. And when I looked in those cops' eyes, I saw nothing but pure hate. I saw the redness of their eyes. They had so much hatred for me and didn't even know me. But because they received a call and said a black man had some films of the World Trade Center, I overheard him talking. They had guns drawn on me. Nobody called me to the side and said, "Can we talk to you for a moment?" They went from 0 to 10 and then would have felt justified in taking my life. They would have referred to that as a reasonable force. Reasonable. Because someone just destroyed the World Trade Center and we got a call and we reacted on that call. So it was reasonable for us to have our firearms drawn on this person. And he went to scratch his head and we shot him. We didn't know if he was reaching, but it was reasonable that we took his life. But when you start dealing with necessary force, and I've always said, and I still say, that police should police police. When you learn that there's corrupt police officers among you, you police those corrupt cops so that the good cops don't become a target. If you ask me, those of you who say that this is putting cops' lives at risk, what puts your life at risk are corrupt cops, the ones that you protect and defend. That thin blue line. Those are the ones that put your life at risk because they're out there being reckless, taking civilian lives, innocent civilians. I watched a video, a surveillance video, where these 2 cops were just beating this dude mercifully. I can't pronounce that. Y'all know what I'm saying. But they were just beating the life out of that dude, man, in an alley. Nightsticking this dude. Police brutality. And they didn't know that a camera was sitting there watching them. But when they decided to take that dude in, or if they took him in, if he didn't lose his life, and you could see the dude, rolling on the ground and they just steady beating him. They would have probably more than likely went back and said it was a reasonable force that we placed on him. It was reasonable. He resisted. You see them kicking on the ground, ignoring the fact that you're beating him. Dude kicking on the ground, his hands are up, trying to keep from being hit, taking blows. But that was reasonable force. And most citizens now that's programmed, manipulated, and brainwashed would say the cops have a dangerous job. Ignoring the fact that the cops are protecting criminal cops. They're protecting white supremacists that join the force to be able to do what they do. So when you protect those type of law enforcement officers, you become just as guilty. So I think this is a law that should be nationwide. Reasonable force should be changed to necessary force. Was it necessary for you to draw your firearm and take that man's life? And then you have to vouch or give an account. And if the jury finds that it was not necessary, then you should serve time. As a matter of fact, because of the fact that you're law enforcement, your punishment should be a lot harsh than if it was an actual criminal. Just because of the fact that you carry that gun and that badge, and that would make cops think twice before drawing that firearm. Because this image had become the norm for police in 2019. So when it comes to that policy bill that was signed, AB 392, I applaud the Governor Gavin Newsom. As a matter of fact, when I watch his speech, he reminds me he's a cross between Trump, Governor Cuomo, and I also saw a little Barack Obama in him, in his expression. He's a combination of different people. And he talk a good game. And I would not doubt if later in the future he run for president of the United States and become president. Because his words are perfect. And he's gaining favor among black voters. Just by the mere fact that he's doing this, that he signed this bill, he's gaining favor with the black community, because now he's not just talking, but he's taking action. He's doing something about blacks being gunned down in the streets unarmed. And that's going to gain him favor in the black community. So I would not doubt if he run for president in the future and become president or even vice president. I wouldn't doubt it. But remember, you heard it here first. So feedback, tell me what you think. Share the video, subscribe. Click on the PayPal link. Click on the Cash App link. And donate to this channel. Until next time, I'm fearless.